Just a second. I'm a little bit early, but I might just kind of hang out for minutes and just set this up. I just kind of hit the record button. Didn't... Hey, what's up there? There we go. All right, folks. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So we got a little bit of a different episode today, but hey, no problem, man. Yep, we're going to talk about it. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of more about, we're going to talk about the cost of making YouTube videos. Just a quick second. Live, you know what I mean? So I set this up to do a 6 o'clock show, and then saw that it was 5:30, and I was ready to go. So I decided to just hit the go button. So here we are. So today's episode is going to be about the cost of getting into YouTube in 2021, 2022, and beyond. But first, let's get into some camera news. All right. Panasonic GH5 Mark II. There's only a few things today to talk about, so we'll get into the actual content of the show pretty quickly. GH5 Mark II's got some firmware, so if you're interested in getting the GH5 Mark II, coming up soon. It's going to have a streaming capability of high-quality video up to 4K. Hopefully it's not like the A7 IV where it's 15 frames a second. Video and audio AAC with PC via wired LAN is possible. Okay, so it's probably something to do with their app, or not their app, but their program that you can get online on their thing, and you just connect it via USB Type-C. Interesting. Added functions. Live view composite function has been added. 720 degree and 1080 degree have been added as an option of focus ring control. Okay. I'm thinking that has something to do with the amount of time or how much you can spin the kind of focus ring around. I don't know. The camera can be connected to the Lumix tether via wired LAN. Okay. Multiple cameras can be controlled from the Lumix tether. Okay, that's kind of cool. So if you want to do like a multi-cam setup, you could have 10 USBs connected to it, I suppose, and 10 different cameras. That's kind of cool. Kind of something like this. You could just do this instead of having the Blackmagic design. You could just get like a USB hub for your computer and just plug in a whole bunch of them. Zoom operation for Lumix G power zoom lenses can be controlled from the Lumix tether. Okay, so it looks like you can zoom in and out from the program. I think there's only a couple of Lumix power zoom lenses, like a 45 to 150 or something like that. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. However, maybe, you know what? Maybe, hang on a second. That was the third thing I wanted to put in there. Maybe there's gonna be some power zoom for the L mount lens. That'd be kind of cool. Performance improvement. There were cases where the camera froze from transferring images to a PC via Wi-Fi, 5 gigahertz. Okay, so the phenomenon has been fixed. Okay, so GH5 Mark II firmware update. So if you're a GH5 Mark II user, there you go. a very interesting lens now that I'm actually quite excited about. I was excited about the 24, but I like wide angles. First, I do self videography, right? A lot of times, we'll show you later in the video my newest lens. I vlog a lot and things of that nature. So wider for me is better. And I also like to take wide angle images when I go do some photography. The kind of little bit of photography that I do, I like to have wide angle shots. I like them. I like the way they look. I like using the wide angles. 18 millimeter 1.8 lens for the Lumix L mount or L mount Alliance, I guess. This is a really cool looking little lens. This is I don't know when this is coming out. It just says under development. Panasonic has been slow, but maybe they're listening to this channel and realizing that I've been kind of trashing them about their lens lineup. And it is kind of time for them to create some more lenses, and 18 millimeter is definitely one I'm quite interested in. This like trio, this lens lineup that they've got, the 24, the 35, 50, and 85 are probably, they're 355 grams is the heaviest one. Lightweight, fast aperture, nice, looking aesthetically lenses. These are gonna be nice primes, and if they do an 18, that's gonna be pretty badass. I'm excited about this. This would be possibly my next Lumix lens for the Panasonic S5. All right, this is an interesting. So this is going to be November 15th. What's that? Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Tuesday. Where's my calendar? Monday. Sin Alta. A new baby Venice E-mount camera. Why is this exciting? Well, as content creation on YouTube becomes more and more popular, I think, and now this is probably going to be not quite what we're talking about, but I like the idea of something along the lines, and I know this is not what it's going to be, an A7 IV spec-wise in a FX3 body. This is probably not what we're going to get. We're probably going to get a more cinema level, higher level camera. Something, I mean, cinema camera, Cine Alta is their, it's going to be a really super expensive camera. This isn't going to be a YouTuber's camera, but we can hope, I suppose, that maybe what we're going to get here, it says baby Venice E-mount camera. What is that? I mean, to me, the baby is their FX line. I don't know. An E-mount camera. This one's interesting. We'll have more obviously when the thing is announced on Monday. We'll definitely do an episode and we'll talk about this camera a little bit on Monday. But that's the news for the main camera. I have 3 camera setup today. I have this camera. This is the Panasonic HC-X2000. I have this camera here, which is the Panasonic S5. I have the 16 to 35 f4 setup on here. And then up here, I have the ZV-E10 up in the corner here. You can kind of see how my setup is a little bit here, right? So why do I have this all set up like this? This is the main camera. I have it set up like this because we're going to talk about the cost of making YouTube videos today. Sorry, I can hear myself a little bit too much in the back here. What does it cost to make YouTube videos in 2021, 22? Well, first off, it's free to make YouTube videos, to upload videos on YouTube. So you don't have to, you just make yourself a Google account and Gmail account and you can make videos. Obviously, you're going to need some equipment to make those videos. So let's get into that part. You got to ask yourself first what type of videos you're going to do. Is it going to be like a vlog style video? Is it going to be something like cinematic? Is it going to be studio like what you see here? Is it going to be outdoor videos? Is it going to be like a workout video? Is it going to be tutorial type videos where you're going to maybe show a computer screen or something like that, or where you might need some other recording software or something like that, screen recording software? Let's go talk about all that stuff today. Let's get into like vlogs first. If you want to start a vlogging channel in 2021, 22 timeframe, in your daily vlog, travel vlog, whatever it is, I just, when it comes to that, I don't think you can beat this. This is your go-to on that. And here's why. And it doesn't have to be an Apple iPhone. It could be an Android phone. It could be whatever you want it to be. The only thing that I would suggest is if you're going to make video, I would kind of lean towards more something along the lines of a flagship type phone, because if you go buy the $200, Samsung A10 or whatever it's going to be, you're going to not have the best image quality. You're not going to have the best audio. And those are important things. I mean, you can have a great story and yeah, people will follow you, but I can tell you right now that I've followed people before that had great stories. And if their audio and their image was just unbelievably garbage, I've turned it off. I've stopped watching because, and this is one of the things I liked about the Philippines so much, is because, I see a lot of people who have great stories, but they use this terrible old smartphone, and that's all they can afford. I get it. And that's where I can come in and help out. That's the way I look at it. I don't think, you look at like, the top of the line vloggers, you look at like Casey Neistat, you look at iJustine, you look at, there's tons of, out in the UK, there's a bunch of really, really high-end vloggers. They probably all use something like this, A7 IV, if you see the image quality between these two, this is a small, tiny little sensor. Now, take this I'm live streaming a 1080p through a switcher. The image on my screen looks way better than it actually does on the thing, but you can see a little bit of a shallow depth of field, even though I'm in an f4 lens compared to, this is like an f1.8 over here. But it's on a really small sensor. I'm going to go on to the S5 for a little while. This is my new lens, by the way. Look at it. Super, super wide. I love it. Anyways, you don't need to go spend. So, okay, if you have one of these cheaper smartphones, I really suggest trying to invest in something along this line, the GoPro. You can buy a GoPro 8 right now for like right around $200, and it's still going to be a great camera. You're still going to have like a flat color profile. The audio on these things has gotten better now. Anything older than like a 5, kind of the newer kind of design layout of the the older ones, like that had like the silver, and they were like really boxy, square, and they weren't waterproof. They had to go into a case. The audio on those old ones were terrible. The image quality, stabilization, when you look at the stabilization in these newest ones, if you can afford a 10 or a 9, it's the best stabilization. To be honest with you, if I go out to vlog, that's what I use, is a GoPro, even though I've got typically, I will start using these a lot more once I get to the Philippines, and it's kind of more acceptable. And I'll spend more time behind the camera, to be honest with you, than I am in front of it. But if I'm going out to do a vlog, I usually use a GoPro because, first of all, the stabilization is great. The audio on these things has gotten so much better. Now you can get this housing here, which has the microphone adapter and everything like that, so you can add high quality audio to it. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a microphone. The microphone I use is actually a lav mic that's like $30 from Sony. And so the lav mics are kind of tricky. Most of them are mono, one microphone, meaning if you're listening to a video with your headphones on, you're only going to hear it in one ear. You want to try to find a stereo lav mic, which there's not a lot of them out there. The majority of them are mono, that you have to, if you want to edit your video, you can edit. Final Cut Pro, a more expensive editing software, And DaVinci Resolve, I'm sure, does that, and Adobe Premiere likely, well, it definitely does that, where you can kind of split it and have stereo audio. Good point. We'll get into that too. Very good point. Very good point. We'll definitely get into that. Most of these smartphones now also don't have any audio jack, so you've got to get some sort of adapter. Now, if you're going to rig this thing out, and there's so many options, like what Daryl just said here. You can rig out these things with some small rig cages. You can get kind of like almost like a housing type thing where you can get a cold shoe adapter, so you can plug in microphones, not plug in, but attach microphones and stuff to these things. The small rig, if you don't know, is a company. I do not have a camera that doesn't have a small rig. Well, this camera doesn't have a small rig, but I've got the cage for the S5. I've got the cage that's on the A7 or ZV-E10. Here's my small rig cage for the A7C. I think those are mandatory kind of things for a few different reasons. One, if you ever want to rig your camera out, you need it. That's just start. But adding any kind of accessories, but not only that, I like to protect the expensive things that I buy. And at least that's a start. If you drop your camera, at least there's some level of protection there. I like that idea. But they have it also for the smartphones. So you can kind of rig these things out. You can kind of make it almost damn like a camera. Moment, a company called Moment, will give you, you can add like a lens attachment and actually add, I'm on the wrong camera. I'm looking at this camera, and let me just go back to the main camera here. But you can add they have cases actually where you can like screw in lenses, so you can kind of change the field of view. They have prime lenses, or there's like 3 or 4 different ones that you can kind of screw in. They're prime lenses. You can get ultra wide. You can get one for telephoto, which you can do some portraits and stuff like that with. And then, you can do so much with these smartphones. They have a lot of that stuff for GoPro. They have small rig cages for GoPro as well, if you want to protect your cage or your GoPro camera. But I just don't. The stabilization on these more higher end phones. If you've got something like this, if you got an iPhone 12 or 11, 10, any of the Samsung Galaxy S series cameras or Note series cameras or phones, I say cameras, but they really are great cameras. You can't go wrong. But if you got some of the older, like a Motorola, a phone from more than probably 3 or 4 years ago, that's not one of the flagships from more than 3 years ago, some of the lower end, if you got like A72, that's probably going to be good enough. It does 4K video and stuff like that, 4K 30. You can't go wrong with this, and it's something you probably already have. Most people already have smartphones. So, especially if you're watching YouTube videos, a lot of people watch YouTube videos on smartphones. And of course, you can go to something like this. This is $700 right here. I'm actually on the kit lens right now. I have the Ulanzi WL3 wide lens adapter, so you can get a little bit more field of view here. That's only about $700, well, about $800, I guess, for this whole setup right here. I have the cage on there as well. Now this audio is still coming from my other camera over here. But you got audio jack on here, you've got headphone jack on here. You really can't beat it. So if you want to get into a vlog type thing, honestly, if all I was doing was vlogging, I wouldn't have all of this, to be honest with you. At least until somehow I had 1 million subscribers, something like that. I think when you see, I don't know, it kind of irritates me when I see a channel with it irritates me because I'm a camera guy, not because I don't think the content is good. But I've seen people with like millions of subscribers that still use a smartphone, and I'm like, yeah, you could probably afford to buy a decent camera and give us some better quality video. I'm just throwing that out there. But hey, teach their own. If that's what they want, all they know how to do. Yeah. I love the Sony because this is a standard picture profile right here off the ZV-E10. I think it looks pretty damn good. And it's, the problem is the reason it probably looks so much better is because I'm right here on a super small sensor camera. The colors on this aren't typical Panasonic colors. They seem really kind of flat. When I do a video with this camera, I do add a little bit of like saturation to it, a little bit of contrast almost sometimes. If I do a video straight from this camera, but you know, the bigger sensor ones. But the question is like, do you need all those? Do you need it? No, you don't. Not to start out. You don't need it to start out. You don't need to go spend a lot of money. Use your smartphone. That's really what it comes down to. Now, if you're going to do videos in a studio, your smartphone might not just cut it. It just might not cut it. I'm not saying you can't do it. Now, there's all kinds of little setups you can buy. You know, they have these like circle or ring lights that you can buy that have like cell phone adapters. I'm not saying it can't be done. But the bottom line is if you're going to get started on YouTube, you can't really go wrong with a smartphone, depending on what you're doing. If you're going to do a camera channel like me, you probably ought to have a camera for first thing. I mean, you got to probably have a little bit of experience because I mean, if you're talking about cameras and stuff like that, and here's the thing when it comes to camera channels, it's very difficult to get into. It's very difficult to get into tech if you're trying to do tech reviews and it's very difficult to get into cameras. And here's why: you're competing against. And I know that and that's why I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing this kind of podcast thing, which isn't really out there on the camera niche in YouTube. I'm competing against people who get all of the newest cameras every time they come out, you know, and I'm not. I'm a long way from getting that. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I'm even the right candidate for those because I'm not really doing reviews. I mean, I have done reviews, but I'm not going to do a ton of reviews. This is more of a news. This is more of a, you know, YouTube related thing. Maybe one day they will allow that, but I'm not going to change my format really. I'm going to continue to keep doing live, which leads me to another thing, doing live video. The great thing about live video is a lot of the YouTube algorithm is your watch time. The important part of it is not. A lot of people think that views is the most important part of making YouTube videos, but it really comes down to the watch time. So why does live stream make good? Because if you guys sit in here, I have 4 people in here, and I do an hour live stream, that's 4 hours of watch time. If you guys sit in here the whole time, and people are going to come and go in and out of here, and adds up. If I just do a 10-minute video and I only get 30, 40 views on it, 50 views on it, something like that, but they only watch like 2 minutes of it, that's about the average rate. The majority of people, I tell you, I was thinking about this the other day because I don't watch movies anymore. I hardly ever watch movies because I've been watching YouTube as my primary entertainment source for so long that I don't have the attention span to sit through a 2-hour movie anymore. I don't know what has happened to me. I don't know why that is, but I don't know if anybody else kind of feels that way too. It's kind of interesting. I love watching YouTube videos, but again, the majority of your YouTube videos, you're looking at, I think I have like a 3.5, 4 minute rate of average watch time for my normal videos. It's probably a little higher now because I've been doing the live streams. But prior to that, I think the most is like maybe 4 minutes of people watching my videos. The average viewer stays around for about 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. And so it comes down to watch time. It really does. If you're trying to beat the YouTube algorithm, I guess. So I think I've lost my train of thought for a second, but just bear with me. I'll get right back on subject here. If you're doing like a studio type thing, like again, you can. It really comes down to the lighting. The lighting is the most important part. Now I'm going to go kind of into my entire setup here, right? my lighting here are the Elgato key lights. I have 2 of them. That's all I've got. And then I've got these little ones behind me, right? I used to have, if you saw the video that I had 2 ring lights here. They're on this big old like contraption that I kind of put together. It was like a 4 monitor stand, computer monitor that I kind of rigged up to have lights and stuff like that on it. And like that was a great little setup. It was good, but I wanted something a little bit more clean and smooth. And I have a very small place that I live in, and I'm going, like, the bathroom is right here to my apartment. So when I would get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something, I'm tripping over tripods and shit. And I was just like, okay, I need to change the way I do things. So my entire setup here, I'm not going to go into the camera because you guys know what cameras I use at this point. But my lighting here, I think I paid $200, right, for these 2 lights. Now they were on kind of a sale. I think they're normally about $115, if I'm correct on that. And when I went to go buy them, if you bought 2 of them, you got them for $200. So I bought 2 of them. I got them for $200. These are excellent lights. They're perfectly bright. What I like about them is that they do come with this like stand, which I got rid of the stand, and I put them on this. I showed them in the video the other day. I basically have these like clamps. Basically, they're poles that are on a clamp. I have the 2 tripods that are like that. That are the exact same thing. And I have 2 lights and then another tripod over here. It's not a tripod. It's just a clamp thing with a ball head on them. These 2 here have video heads, actually Avella video heads. And the Vela video heads were like $60 a piece, $55 a piece. These stands each were about $30 a piece. And you don't need 5 of them. You need 1 with a camera and 2 for your lights. You really need 3, so that's about $90. You don't really need a video head. You could use a ball head. You can get a good solid ball head for about $50. I've got the microphone here. Now, you don't need this microphone because if you don't have an XLR input, this microphone isn't going to do any good. So you can buy any kind of microphone, really. One that's really good is this one here. This is the Rode VideoMic Go. I think this is like $100. You don't need to even spend $100 on this, but you can mount it just up here. I do have a mount up here, so I could plug it in right here and use it. But I just like the podcasting type microphone. This stand here, you could also just kind of set it up like this. So it's out of the way, but you could just, put this mic up here out of the way. And this mic would get better audio from a distance than this one. This is specifically designed for podcasting. As you can see, if I go over here, you can't hear me. It ain't that far away. If you did that with this microphone, you'd still be able to hear me pretty well. Yeah. So the cost of the studio really isn't that much if you want to do like a studio type setup. And if you're going to do any kind of like tutorials, obviously you need maybe some sort of software to record. If you're going to do like a tutorial on your computer, like maybe video editing or something along those lines. Most of these computers now have some sort of, you can buy an app or download an app on MacBook or download an app on Windows Store, and you can kind of screen record. And then editing software, there's so many different options when it comes to editing software because you got to have that too. You can go with like Adobe Premiere where you pay like a monthly charge. I think it's like $20 or $30 a month. The thing that I don't like about that is because that's the cheapest upfront option. But if you're doing that for 15 years and you're going to pay a shit ton of money for that editing software. I have Final Cut Pro. I paid $300 years and years and years ago. About 4 or 5 years ago, I paid. It's a one-time thing. There is rumors that that's going to go to a paid service, but I'm hoping that there's some sort of grandfather clause that if you already had the service or had it, they're not going to charge you again for it. I hope. There is rumors of it going to some sort of subscription service, which I think is really stupid. If you have an iPad, Lumifusion is a great video editing software. It's probably my really my favorite video editing software because it's kind of a mobile on the run type thing. Super easy to use. To be honest with you, pair it with this when you can transfer the file super easy through the USB Type-C cable. Matter of seconds, and you got all your files on there to be able to edit. If you take this camera and use the flat color profile, you can make the Lumifusion color grading is really, really simple to use, and you can really make your colors look really, really good. And I honestly, when you watch the GoPro footage and you're like, man, that looks so damn good. But then you watch your own GoPro footage and you're like, oh, it doesn't look as good. Well, you can make it look as good. It's actually quite easy. All you've got to do is first turn your sharpness down a little bit on this GoPro, and then put it on your flat color profile, and then put it into something like Lumifusion, which I think Lumifusion is up to like $30 now, if I'm not mistaken. I think when I bought it, I only paid $20 for it, but I think it's up to $30 right now. I'm not 100% sure on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But a great software, great video editing software. And you can get it on your phone. So here's the thing. If you do all your videos from your phone, you can do everything in video edit and upload from your phone. And the last thing I think that ties it all together is your internet connection. But let me tell you, if you're going to do it all from your phone, if you go buy an iPhone, that's what you're going to use. I can't help you in England because I don't think the internet is quite the same there, unfortunately. But here in the United States, if you're in the United States, Walmart, for some reason, if you go to Walmart, right, and you shoot and you edit your vlog on here, if you go into Walmart, they have a ridiculously fast upload speed. I don't know why. I've been to several Walmarts and I check their internet speed because I will always connect to their free Wi-Fi that they have, and Walmart has like 60 megabytes upload speed. I know what you're saying, man. You can. I went from Korea to England, right? And Korea has the fastest internet in the world. And I would upload my videos when I was doing videos there in like 5 minutes. And then I get to the UK and I went and got internet and I went to go upload my first video and it said 4 hours. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? 4 hours? Like, what am I doing differently? I eventually had to upgrade my internet through some other service, some better service. I can't remember what service I went with, but I'm getting faster internet. And it got down to like an hour and some change when I was there the whole time. But I think if you go down to some of the bigger cities, you go to London or whatever, you can get much faster internet there. They got 5G now. You can upload through 5G. I know your pain, man. I know your pain. I don't have that problem. I'm in the United States now. My internet is, I get about 40 megabytes a second upload speed. When I was in the UK, when I first got my apartment in the UK, I think I got 1 megabyte. Sometimes it was a little bit less per second upload speed. By the time I left, my internet was like 16 or 17 megabytes upload speed, megabits per second. And now in the United States, in my current place, I get about 35 to 40. I also pay more here for the internet than I did there. I think I paid like 35 pounds. It was 39 pounds. I remember it was 39 pounds for my internet. And here I pay about $77, something like that. Actually, it's probably about the same. It's damn near the same probably now with the exchange rate. But that's it, folks. The cost of making YouTube videos really could be almost nothing because you're going to buy this anyway. There really isn't any point, if you're going to do a vlog type thing, to start YouTube. Now, it all depends on what you want to do with it. If your intentions are to turn this into something where you're going to be making some sort of money on it, I think an investment is not a bad idea, but it's up to you on how much you want to spend. You can spend $800 on a camera up here. The Panasonic S5 with this lens is $3,500. You don't have to spend $3,500 on this camera. You can get the 20 to 60 kit lens for $2,000. You can buy this camera here for $2,200. And it comes with an XLR adapter, so you could get much better audio. The great thing about the XLR adapter is you can adjust, you can kind of fine tweak the audio a lot more intuitively than you can through your camera. So it's definitely a benefit when it comes to that, but it's not necessary. These shotgun microphones that come on top of your camera that power directly through your camera are getting so much better and better these days that you don't necessarily need, you won't need XLR audio for 90% of what you do on YouTube. What I'm doing on YouTube is a little bit different. If you're going to try some sort of podcast, you've got to have the crystalest, clearest audio, because that's the kind of the point behind it. Now, this is a podcast that's only live video. I don't record it and upload it to, iTunes or whatever, or podcasting, Spotify or anything like that. This is all just done here, mainly because a lot of what I'm doing is just sitting here rambling, and that's pretty much what I've done tonight. Normally, I do have a more structured show. Tonight was just kind of all over the place because I wanted it to kind of be like this. So I want to get into like what you guys have. If you guys have like YouTube studio or YouTube setup, what you guys use for YouTube, what kind of lighting you use. I know, Daryl, you've mentioned you had an A7 III, thinking about getting possibly an A7 IV, Panasonic S5. Some other people have mentioned in previous videos that they had like some massive setups, like, something like the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. For this would be really, really cool. For many reasons. One of the major reasons I use this camera right here is because it has a full-size HDMI, where my other cameras don't, and I do live streams. So 1,000 pounds. Woo! At Wex. I bought this S5 at Wex in Norwich. And I can't remember. I think I paid 1,500 pounds. That is a hell of a deal. Just hopefully it's in good shape. It's not that old of a camera. I can't imagine somebody's destroyed it by now, but I know they like to they number them, right? In a 10, 9, 8, the level of quality the camera still is. I've bought a lot of used stuff from Wex, and I've never had an issue. I love, like, Wex Photo Video is basically, if you're in the United States, it's it's the B&H Photo of the UK. If you guys aren't familiar, they also have Jessup's is one of their bigger camera stores, and then Park Cameras down in London. I think there's a couple other Park Cameras as well. Jessup's has kind of like died out a little bit. When I first got there were stores all over the place, and they started kind of closing, at least in my area where I was at. I like Jessup's because they had a lot of stuff like right there on in stock to be able to kind of play with. When I was, they had Bury St. Edmunds. That store closed while I was there. The one in Cambridge closed while I was there. The one in Norwich closed while I was there. I know London still had stores that moved. Like it moved like off Oxford, or it's on Oxford Street, but they moved down the street further. Yeah, Jessup's been closing for a while now. I used to go to Campkins Cameras, which was that's a one-off store, I think, in Cambridge. A very tiny little store. They didn't have a lot of stuff to like pick up and play with. Yeah. So the Park Camera store in London, that's the one I would go to. That was always my kind of run in London. I would always go to London. I would walk down towards Oxford Street, and the Park Cameras is right there just off Oxford. Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. They were kind of like snobby. Like, it's something I can tell you right now, Park Cameras is a lot like going into almost any camera store in the United States, because they're all like, I must know more than you because I work here. But do you? You know, just because you work in a camera store doesn't mean you know more about the cameras than the people that are walking in and out of the store that use those cameras every single day. I found that when I walked into the camera store here in Little Rock, I almost got into an argument with the guy because he was like, yeah, this 1-inch sensor camera that we were talking about, the ZV-1 or something like that. And I was talking to him about how smartphones now are coming out with 1-inch sensors. And I was like, these things are going to die. He's like, oh, these things will never die. Smartphones will never. I'm like, you're an idiot if you think smartphones are never going to beat cameras. I can tell you right now that there's a lot of cameras that used to come out every year that you'll never see again. It's already that way. I will be very surprised to see a 1-inch sensor camera ever again. G7X, RX100, ZV-1. I will be very surprised to see that. I don't see a ZV-2 coming out ever. That's unfortunate because I think there's a place for them. But I think that if you wanted the ZV-2, I think it just came out in a smartphone. And the whatever that new Pro Eye camera is that or phone that Sony just came out with, it's like $1,700. Yeah, it's overpriced. But you got a 1-inch sensor and a way to be able to edit and upload content directly from your phone without having to connect it to any kind of internet source, without having to transfer any files. Yeah. A lot of times you go into camera stores and they're kind of snobby, that's just I kind of find myself going into electronic stores. Several times I've gone into electronic stores, like down here in Little Rock. There's a couple different Best Buys. Best Buy is like the Curry's PC World. If you've been in the United States, you know what I'm talking about. It's the Curry's PC World in the United States. So I go into Best Buy, and I've talked to a lot of different people when I go in there because I know that the people that work there don't really know anything about cameras. And I don't try to push anything on anybody. And that's one thing that, I went into the store down here, the camera store, and I'm not really a Canon user, but the guy was like, oh, well, if you're not a Canon user, you probably don't know what you're doing. It's like, well, I've had Canon cameras before. I like Panasonic and Sony much better. Just because you like Canon doesn't make you really better than me. But I go into a store, the Best Buy here, and several times I've talked to people, and you kind of try to get to understand what they're looking to do. I talked to a guy who was getting ready to buy like a 100 to 500 lens for his Canon 60D. And then when he was getting ready to buy it, he was kind of moving over towards the cameras, and he was like, I think I had to buy one of these mirrorless cameras and one of these, or a 90D or something like that, upgrade my camera, maybe a 16 Mark II or something like that. And I was like, well, what do you do? He's like, well, I do a lot of bird and photography. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, do you do any professional work? He goes, no, I'm retired and just do it for fun. He's an older guy. I just go out and do it for fun. And I was like, well, what do you shoot with? He goes, I shoot with a 60D right now. Camera's several years old. And I was like, well, if you're doing just straight photography, I don't think you're really getting anything. And you're not burst shooting, obviously. Well, you might be burst shooting when it comes to birds, but maybe you're not. I don't think you necessarily need to. I was like, you don't really need to upgrade your camera. Your camera's fine. And I think the guy at the store was like, please buy a camera because I want some. And I was like, well, you don't really need a camera. If you're doing video and you have a 60D, yeah, I would probably be like, yeah, well, if you're doing nothing but video, you probably ought to upgrade your camera because 60D is what 720p video or something like that. Sure. But if you're just taking photos, I think that camera is only like 18 megapixels, if I'm correct. It's fine. It's more than enough. It's plenty. If you're not selling it and putting it on billboards and stuff like that, and you're not making money with that camera, there's no point in upgrading the camera. He was fine getting the 100 to 500 lens. That was going to improve his image quality. It was an L lens. It was a nice, expensive lens. That was going to improve his image quality because he was shooting with like the 50 to 250 or something like that, like the $200 lens, $300 lens. I'm like, well, if you're going to put a $1,500, $2,000 lens on this camera, you're going to improve your image quality significantly. Try that for a while before you go spending money on a new camera because I think you're going to be quite surprised at what that lens is going to do for you. He was like, oh, man, that was great. Thanks. I didn't need to go spend another $1,500 on a camera. I was like, well, I know a little bit about cameras, so I can help you out. I'm not a bird photographer, but I mean, it's something that I study this stuff all the time. Like I listen to a lot of different, like one of the channels I watch is the DP Review, and those guys do a lot of lens reviews. And I listen to what they're saying, and I kind of take it into consideration. I understand what they mean. I don't really do a lot of photography myself. I like to do it. Speaking of which, Daryl, your Instagram is pretty amazing. You're actually a really damn good photographer as well. Y'all need to check out this channel. Again, I saw his Instagram. It was nice. I liked it. But yeah, I like doing that stuff. I think my dream kind of job was working in a camera store, but I go into one and I talk to these people. B&H Photo is a little different. B&H Photo, I went down to New York City just in August. And yeah, I'm in the greatest city in the world. And the only place I wanted to go was the camera store. Yeah, I got to see Times Square and all the other stuff, but yeah, who cares? I wanted to go to B&H Photo. And B&H Photo is like a factory, right? It's unlike any other camera store. When I say Wex Photo Video is like the B&H Photo, I say that because they have everything. They have a lot of products there. It's not just a couple of cameras. And like, you know, you go into some of these smaller camera stores and they don't, like, for instance, my camera store here in Little Rock doesn't carry Panasonic. You know, it doesn't carry Olympus, doesn't carry Panasonic, Micro Four Thirds, none of that. It doesn't carry any kind of like higher end cinema cameras, Blackmagic Design, none of that stuff. B&H Photo, Wex Photo Video, they carry everything. The Wex Photo Video in Norwich, I think, is actually their like headquarters. It's not necessarily the headquarters, but it's their largest store because they have like the huge warehouse attached to it. And as a matter of fact, if you're going to buy used products from Wex, they all come from the Norwich store. So you can actually, if you're looking for something to use, that's what I would always do. I look at their used stuff online, and I would just go up to the Norwich store and they'd have it there. And that was closest to the Norwich store. Matter of fact, I think it's the only one ever. Maybe I went to the Manchester store, and I think I've been to one of the London stores. I think I just briefly walked into one of the London stores, if I remember correctly. But yeah, they got everything. But when you go to the B&H Photo, yeah, so Wex is the people that worked in Wex. I like the people that worked in Wex Photo Video. Those guys were really good. Especially the one up in Norwich. Those people are like really cool. Matter of fact, I would go to the photography show in Birmingham. Is it Birmingham? The photo expo show, whatever it is. I would go there and I would see the same guys and they'd recognize me and say hi and we'd talk. I've been to that show twice. I was going to go last year and then COVID hit and we didn't get to go. And then this year, I think it did it kind of online. So I didn't go. As a matter of fact, I'd found out, this is a funny story. Kai Wong is one of my favorite YouTubers when it comes to cameras. I like watching his camera reviews and stuff like that. All the way back from when they were Digital Rev. Been a big fan of his. And I remember seeing this guy with this like military style jacket on, and I was kind of like, what a loser. And I never looked at his face. And I was there, and I'm like, I saw him like 2 or 3 times, but I never looked at his face. I just kept looking at his jacket. I'm like, your jacket is weird. It had like military rank on it and all kinds of weird stuff. It was like a bomber jacket type thing. And I was like, it was kind of a funny jacket, right? I never once looked at his face. I saw the guy 4 or 5 times during the show. I get home and I watch Kai's video, and it was him the whole time. I was like, oh my God, I was standing right there next to him. I never said anything to him. That was kind of funny. I do miss the Digital Rev days. So, what's the name is in England now, and they've been doing videos together. They had their Bokeh Bros channel, but they didn't really do anything with it. Now they just kind of do their own thing on their own channel. But they do, you know, they're kind of back together now. I know he's in England now. I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name, but I watch his videos all the time too. But I'm a big fan of them guys. I think that. So Kai, I think, used to live in Cambridge because I remember him doing some videos right outside with Campkins cameras. And then he just stopped doing the videos with Camkin's cameras. And I went down to Camkin's and I was talking to him, and I don't like Camkin's. They're the same type of. There's like one or two people in there that I really like, but like the head guy, he's kind of a douchebag. But I was talking to one of the younger guys in the store, and he was kind of cool, and I liked him. We kind of got along. And I asked him, I was like, "Well, does Kai Wong ever come in here?" And he goes, yeah, we don't really do business with him anymore," kind of thing. I was like, "What do you mean?" I guess something along the lines of him coming in and not really promoting the store at all, just promoting himself and using all their products and stuff like that in the store. And he thought he was going to kind of get away with that. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, whatever, that's fine." But yeah, great show again tonight, folks. Thanks for coming in. Pretty good time tonight. I think there's never been a better time to start a YouTube channel in 2021, 2022. I think if you've got something interesting to talk about, or if you've got something you can show or teach or tell a story, why not? We've talked about in the past on this channel that having multiple sources of income is the best way to go forward in the world, because I think things are going to continue to go up, except for your paychecks at your normal day jobs. The prices of everything are going to continue to go up. So having some sort of side hustle is a very important thing to go forward in the future. And there's no guarantee that you're going to make money on YouTube. I don't make money on YouTube. I fully intend to make money on YouTube at some point. I do. Whether it's this channel or another channel, I'm not going to stop doing this channel. I want to continue to keep growing with this channel. That's what I want to do. I think it's a smart idea. You can kind of even progress that even further, going into affiliate marketing with Amazon and other stores. As a matter of fact, I have I am still in SHIB. I'm still doing crypto. I've been buying some other types of crypto. Been doing a lot of research. I've been hanging out a lot of my spare time. Matter of fact, when I'm at work, I have two screens, right? And I have one screen with my like program to, that I do my job in. And then I have one screen with CoinMarketCap up. And I just glanced at every once in a while. So there was actually a cryptocurrency that went up at one point today almost 3 million%. But it's like one of these ones that you can't really buy. But there was a crypto at one point that went up 3 million%. It dropped. It went up and then dropped. But if you would have got that motherfucker up there at the top, you could have taken $100 and become a millionaire in one day. It would have been literally the greatest investment of all time, if you could have figured out how to get into that before it went to a 3 million% increase. There was another one that I was watching all day that was around, it huddled between 17 and 1900% increase in one day. 1900%. So I've been watching CoinMarketCap. What I'm looking for is the next SHIB. So what I did with SHIB is I had my money in there when it went skyrocket, right? I had $700 in there. I made $700. They started to tank. I pulled my money at a $400 increase. So I made $400. I pulled my $700 investment out, and I'm never touching the money that's in there. I have 5.5 million tokens left, and I'm never touching it. I'm gonna leave it in there and see what happens to it. I bought some crypto.com. Of course, I've got Ethereum and Bitcoin, a little bit here and there. But I'm definitely getting into this whole. I've been watching the market. I think the key to making a good chunk of change is to find that next. What I look at SHIB now, it did its thing like that and went down. Now I think it's going to be a long-term investment type thing. Just like Dogecoin. I think Doge is a long-term. I don't think anybody is going to become an overnight millionaire with one of those things. If you're trying to become an overnight millionaire, the options are there, but you've got to get them at the right time. What I'm trying to figure out how to do is to be able to buy these other coins that are not so easily accessible, that I can't buy in Coinbase. I'm trying to find other ways to buy these things easily. But I don't want like a 1,000 different websites I have to go to see where my crypto is at. It just would make sense to me if there was like one app where you could buy all of these like altcoins or whatever they call them, you know. Safe Moon Inu. I'll have to check that out. A lot of these are like dog names. They have some of the weirdest names. And if you go to CoinMarketCap, there's like 74,000 different cryptocurrencies you can buy. So I mean, it's not like an easy thing to find the right one. You know. MetaMask. Okay, man, I need to learn a lot. I'm getting there. I've got a lot to learn when it comes to that. But multiple sources of income, and again, you know, YouTube. There's no guarantee you're going to make money on YouTube. But I can tell you this: if you stay consistent, you grind and grind and grind, and you have content that you can that there's content available for you to keep making. Why not? Well, again, one of the major reasons I'm going to the Philippines too. There's so many reasons I'm going to the Philippines, but one of the reasons I'm going to the Philippines is because there it is legal to have a vlogging channel. Like a lot of countries actually do not allow you to vlog legally in their country. Like for instance, like Thailand, it's kind of frowned upon kind of thing. But in the Philippines, as long as you're not being paid by like a hotel or something to do a review, if you're just kind of documenting, like pretty much all I want to do, I'm not trying to. I might do a restaurant review or a hotel review at some point, maybe potentially, but I'm never going to get paid. I don't want to. You're not legally allowed to get paid by anybody in the Philippines. You can make money on YouTube through AdSense and whatnot. Yeah, that's legal. But in the Philippines, people don't have 55-inch TVs like I'm watching this on over here. People don't have, you know, they have smartphones and they watch YouTube, and they like watching foreigners. So, I mean, I watch some people who just have unbelievably terrible content. They just walk around and they talk like this, and hey, look at the tree. Hey, there's the beach. Look at, now I'm drinking beer. And they have like 80,000 subscribers. And I'm like, if they can do it, so can I. So, yeah, it may take a long time, but I mean, it's a shot in the dark, but why not? I think, again, the way of the future is to make money. I want to get into real estate when I get there. I have to get a visa first, which I'll work on. Once I'm there, I have to be there 6 months before I can apply for the visa. But once I can get that visa, I can buy real estate. But I don't think I can actually legally rent it out for a profit until I have a visa, a work visa, which I'll get. I want to go to Palawan, Philippines, where it's like the #1 island in the world, #1 travel destination in the world, or at least one of them. Beautiful beaches, amazing area of the world. And I want to buy a couple of like Filipino style condos, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 a piece, and Airbnb. That's another source of income that I'm going to have. I just think that's the way of the future, folks. And I think YouTube is a good part. I also think, like I said before in the past, if you own some sort of business, I think it's irresponsible of you to not have a YouTube channel. Why not? Why not have free advertisement? You can do your own commercials. You don't have to pay nobody. You can make your own videos. You can upload your own videos. It's free. Why not have a YouTube channel? There's no excuse, in my opinion. Something I may also look into doing. I obviously won't be able to get paid for this stuff, but I plan to do it almost immediately as soon as I get there, is find small businesses and be like, hey, you ever thought about making a YouTube video? We can, you know, I'll film it, I'll edit, and that's all I want. I don't want anything in return. Maybe if you have, you know, if it's a restaurant or something, maybe I can get free chicken wings for every once in a while. I don't know. It's an idea. I like that process. I love the filming and editing process. And that's what I want to keep doing. So anyways, thank you all for being in here tonight. Both Mike Visuals and Marina Joyce went to my school. Oh, wow, that's cool. Huh. That's pretty cool. I think consistency on YouTube is a key. Everybody says that. Everybody says that, and it's kind of like a cliche type thing. But I think people kind of take that almost wrong. They think consistency, well, I need to upload 5 days a week. No, you just really need to stay kind of consistent. Like, I mean, my channel, for instance. Yeah, see, the work in the Philippines I won't do until I can legally do it. I won't do anything in the Philippines until I can legally do it. Like I said, I might just film and edit for somebody, but I'm not going to make any money off of it. Really, the only thing right off the bat that I'll start making money on is probably YouTube, especially when I do vlogs. And I'm kind of, I got my daughter there. People are going to want to see how a foreigner, and I'm going to be kind of a single dad there. I think that's going to be kind of interesting content. I don't really want to put my daughter on YouTube very much, but I will acknowledge that I have a daughter. I've shown her on YouTube before. If you go to my CJ Abroad channel, I had a video when she was first born, a couple of videos. I haven't seen my daughter since June, and I'm really looking forward to being there. And she'll be 8 months old, like this weekend on the 14th. I'm really looking forward to getting back to the Philippines. Yeah, I've seen a couple of these channels. I've watched a few of them, and they do kind of go on the attack. I've watched two of them. One of them is Jennifer something. I want to say it's Jennifer. Maybe I could be wrong. And there's another one where the guy he just talks. He kind of narrates and just has like generic footage. I've seen him. He just kind of attacks the same guy over and over again. Where the other girl, she kind of attacks pretty much everybody. Yeah, the raw facts. Yeah, that's the one I've seen. The raw facts. There's one video I watched where he's like, I'm a lawyer or whatever, and he's driving a Mercedes and stuff like that. And I was like, well, why do you care? But at the same time, like, I understand what he's doing. And some of these guys, like the one dude that he does attack is farming and he doesn't have a work permit. You're not allowed to do anything in the Philippines, to include farming. Like, it's even if you own the own property, if you're making any money off of it, you can't do it. But yeah, I've watched that channel quite a bit. Yeah. I definitely won't do anything. Now, I'm even concerned because my my daughter's aunt owns a pharmacy, and that's where my daughter spends most of her days. They have like a back room in the pharmacy, and I'm like, if I get caught in the back of the pharmacy, the back room in the pharmacy, that could be a big thing. Even though I'm not working there, I'm just hanging out with my daughter, but I don't really want to spend that much time hanging out behind the counter. You know what I mean? I can't come out into the store from that direction because they're like, oh, a foreigner, what are you doing? Like, I just was hanging out with my daughter in the back. Like, no, you can't be working here. I'm like, I don't work here. I never got paid a dime. So, and I'm never going to use like cash register or anything like that. That's just, one of them things. But yeah. That was a good show tonight. Thanks, guys, for being in here. I will most likely be back tomorrow night. I'm trying to stay consistent. And this is easy. This is why I do this live stream, because I don't have to edit anything. It's kind of nice. Live streaming is very important, folks, when it comes to YouTube. Not only is it what we talked about earlier with the watch time, it's also good because you don't need to edit anything. That's workflow is part of the process. How fast can you get content onto YouTube? Do you have to edit to film a video and then edit it and then upload it? And if you live in the UK and it takes you 14 hours to upload a video. Yep, the raw facts. There are two major channels. Okay. Yeah, see, when I get there, yeah, I think I just read this comment late. Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for being here. We'll see you again tomorrow night. I can't wait to be in the Philippines. Can't wait to do this channel in the Philippines. This will continue once I get there. And my apartment that I have there that I'll be moving into, my daughter's uncle owns the apartment complex, and the internet company is right behind it. So like they showed me like the video of my apartment already, and the internet satellite is actually like will be like the shade to my my little balcony thing. So it's going to be really, I should have very good internet there because the internet is literally right behind my house. So I should have like my own cable. Hopefully, if that's how it works. It probably doesn't work that way, but at least the internet satellite is right there. But I'm looking forward to it. But Para's in the Philippines. Pretty awesome to see you in here tonight. Thank you for coming in. Daryl, as usual, as always, you're my biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan too. January, I'll be moving. Hopefully January 10th. I'm waiting on the documentation to get my 9A visa. Once the documentation is here, I've got everything else already ready. Passport, my daughter's passport, my daughter's travel documentation, her birth certificates and all that stuff. The Philippines birth certificate that we got in London. We got all that stuff. I'm just waiting for a couple of documents from the Philippines. They're already in the mail. That's coming up on 2 weeks since it's been mailed. I should be here sometime in the next week or two. And then once that's done, I'm going to submit my 9A visa and then be there with my daughter. And I'm permanently moving there. I'm retired Air Force, so I have income enough to live in the Philippines. More than enough. As a matter of fact, my apartment complex is 4,000 pesos, which is $80 a month. Kind of a family deal. So pretty good deal. Thank you all for coming in tonight. I'm actually going to end this now. So we'll see you again tomorrow night. Thank you for coming in. Later.